1973 was the year the draft ended, the last American troops left Vietnam, and Nixon says, "I'm not a crook." At the beginning of the calendar year, I was 28 and in the first year of full-time employment as a faculty member at the University of Oregon and living in Dexter, 20 minutes out of Eugene. Roe versus Wade was decided on January 22, 1973, and it held that a woman, with her doctor, could choose abortion in the early months of pregnancy without restriction. It was landmark. I had known a woman that had gone to Japan for a safe abortion, and this was no longer needed. On March 29, 1973, the last American troops withdrew from Vietnam. Over 2 million Americans had served, and 500,000 of those had seen combat. There were over 57,000 killed in action and non-combat deaths, and over 150,000 seriously wounded, and still 24,000 MIA and POWs at that time. In my own very tiny world, I was building a career by teaching, researching, writing, and doing career counseling. In spring 1973, I started using my dual appointment at the University of Oregon to advantage. I started a practicum class in the counseling department where master's degree students could enroll, and then they worked at the career planning and placement office in direct service under my supervision, and they got credit for doing so. At the time, I was teaching at least 2 classes every term, doing direct service myself, and also working specifically with MBA students and recruiters coming to campus to recruit them. My world grew to include corporate America, which at the time was still quite interesting because there were a lot of student demonstrations against specific companies. I befriended many recruiters and learned basically about their all-male world. One even talked to me about if he had been 6 feet tall, he would have been a manager in this major corporation long before now. And speaking of all-male worlds, it was about at this time that I began to serve on a number of university-wide committees. They were all about the same in composition, meaning me and about 10 other white male faculty members, with an occasional black male faculty member thrown in. Summer 1973, the oil crisis was upon us, and there were odd, even gas days, and I was a commuter to Dexter. Perhaps it was this that spurred me to buy a house in Eugene, and I became the first member of my nuclear family to own a house. Fall saw me turning 29, teaching large undergraduate classes in career planning and graduate level classes and direct service. Vice President Agnew resigned. Nixon assured us he was not a crook, and the White House was not able to explain the 18.5-minute gap in a subpoenaed tape for the Watergate trials. It was quite a year.